So what is SmartDeploy? It's a set of tools for publishing, deploying, and redeploying smart contracts. It's made up of a Rust SDK, smart contract, and CLI. So let's take an example. So let's say we have this add contract as two 32s together. All right, we compiled it, now we're ready to deploy it. So let's use a bash script to make it a little easier. So first we install the contract, get the hash back from the network, and then now we can use that as a reference to deploy the contract. So after running this, we get some output where we get these long strings back of the hash and the contract ID. But if you were astute, you might have noticed that there was an error, because it could have overflowed. So now we use checked add to report the proper error. Then if we go back to our script, you'll see that, if we redeploy it, we'll get a new contract ID, which, now if anybody else had the old contract ID, they'd still be pointing at the buggy contract. So how do you redeploy? Well, this is the example from the sort one example. So here we have some init function, which stores the admin of the contract, and then we have this upgrade function, which checks that admin is signing it, and then redeploys to this new hash. It's great, but it's a lot of boilerplate, and contract developers kind of have to reinvent the wheel every time. So redeploying is easy with SmartDeploy. So first of all, we have a macro called core_riff, which provides these three functions. So the owner set, similar to the init function of the previous example, and then redeploy is the same as upgrade. So you see one line to your contract, a little bit of boilerplate, but a lot less. So if we look at our first example, we had, after doing the initial deploy, now we just need to call back set owner. Same as on the init. And then here, afterwards, we had another script where we were going to do the redeploy. We were just, after doing the install, pass the new hash. That's great, but it could be better. So if you're iterating a lot, you can use our other macro, devDeploy, which does it all in one step. So here we have this WASM file, and then the ID of the contract we're going to redeploy. And there's this awesome feature that was added in the CLI where you can now pass a file path as an argument to the contract. So here, we're just passing the bytes of the WASM, and it redeploys itself. So all in one step. But you got to be careful because there's no checking of an owner or an admin. So you should only do this on your own standalone network while you're doing fast iteration. So SmartDeploy is also smart contracts. So it allows you to publish named binaries so you don't have to deal with these hashes anymore. You have semantic versions, so you don't know when your contracts change, and you know what that means. And that also means these published contracts can be audited, so you have more, if you're new, you want to use a published binary, you have that guarantee. And then next, you can deploy contracts, and you don't have to, so now you can have named contracts with a human readable name instead of having to deal with contract IDs. So the TLDR is if you are reaching for a handcrafted factory contract, you should probably just use SmartDeploy. And lastly, this is probably my favorite part about it, it's also a package manager. So there's the SmartDeploy install command, which will install the bytes of the contract that you want to work with, including its contract ID. And so then you can just use this import contract macro, which basically feels like you're importing a crate. So it's no, nothing bad, noisy about it. And then lastly, we're going to come up with a DAT soon, so that all these published binaries and deployed contracts you can interact with. So if anybody here is, developing smart contracts, you should reach out because it's probably the best way to add a proper way to upgrade your contracts. Oh, here's my colleague here, Alexandra, and myself, and there's the GitHub.